Hi guys, and I hope you're having a great holiday period. Today, as we approach Christmas, we're going to be looking at once again some training aids in opposed to a tech suit. In the past, I've looked at some cool stuff from Finnees, and don't worry, we've got more Finnees stuff coming on its way shortly. But actually today we're going to take a little bit of a turn to the brand Arena. Now Arena are obviously a big player in the swimming market, and at the moment I'd say they're actually succeeding Speedo in terms of the biggest name in competitive swimming. At the recent FINA World Short Course Championships, the most used suits were from Arena, either the Carbon Air or the Carbon Flex, and they even had a sprinkling of Carbon Ultra just to really dominate the scene. That being said, they of course make training suits and training accessories. And while in my kit bag I don't have quite as many Arena products as I do Finnees products, I do have a lot of Arena stuff. Today I've got 3 products from the brand to take a little look at, and we're just going to have a look at why I have them in my kit bag over anything else. The products I have here are the Arena mesh paddles, the Arena Snorkel Pro, and the Arena Power Fins Pro. Starting off with the mesh paddles, and I actually have 2 different pairs of paddles in my kit bag. I have the Finnees Agility paddles that I've looked at previously, and I have these, which are a more recent addition. And I am actually looking at getting a 3rd pair of the big Stroke Master paddles as well. These paddles are quite a unique product. They are unlike any other paddles I've ever used in my life, but I am really enjoying using them for certain scenarios. They feature these rubber tubes like many other paddles. I generally keep the bottom one loose. I could remove it, but I keep it loose. It doesn't really give any grip. I just haven't taken it out. And I use the middle finger one quite tightly. Something like this. It fits bigger than my hand, but it's not the biggest paddle I've ever seen. But what's really novel about it is we have this sort of mesh, well, it is a mesh lining covering our hand. And what it actually does is we get a real honest feel for the water, something that you don't normally get with a paddle, considering it's completely covered with plastic or another material. What I do find is while it does give you some assistance in the water, it gives you almost equal resistance. So I find this paddle almost like a combination between a drag socks and a normal paddle. If I was going to be doing a pull set with the agility paddles, I will generally be going about 10 seconds faster per 100 than when I'm using the mesh paddles. Why I do use the mesh paddles though is because, once again, for how well I feel the water, I feel lower tax on my shoulders, especially during the recovery phase of my stroke. And I also feel like I'm working a little harder, and I really do feel the burn and the ache after a set using these. I think they're good for is general pull sets and scull sets, but potentially what they're not so good for is power sets, going fast with paddles and maybe a bungee, maybe going with a parachute and fins. I find these not so good because I don't find myself going faster. So when I want to go over speed, I put on a Finnees paddle or potentially the Stroke Master paddle, which I'm looking at getting, the bigger paddle for power stuff, put some fins on, which we'll get to later, and then maybe a parachute or a bungee or none of the above. And I just want to go fast. I don't really want this paddle for it because I find myself going slower. I struggle to get my stroke rate up as high, but I do feel a real nice connection with the water. For that reason, I really have enjoyed the Arena paddle. It's definitely a different paddle, and it's definitely a different concept. There's nothing else quite like it. And I say this a lot about certain things, but that's what I like. I like finding unique, novel products, something that's going to be a little different. The rest of the Arena paddle range I don't particularly like. They aren't as good as opposing models, and that's why I'm not mentioning them or I'm not using them. But this model, nothing like it, and it's actually pretty cheap, under £15. So if you want to try something a bit different, it's not going to be your day-to-day paddle, but maybe once a week, once a fortnight, this definitely finds its use in my kit bag. The next product is potentially my favourite piece of training equipment. It's their Arena Snorkel Pro, not to be confused with just their standard snorkel, which I have had in the past and really don't like. It's my favourite piece of training equipment, not because the Arena one is miles ahead of the competition, but just because I love using a snorkel. A snorkel aids swimming in so many ways. I think it's great for drills, and that's the majority of time spent using with this. I use it for drills, be it speed drills, be it technical drills, be it catch drills, be it scull. Or sometimes I just use it for swimming longer distances where I want to concentrate on a certain aspect of my stroke, generally my pull or my catch phase, where I can actually see what's going on and not have to worry about breathing, as well as working on head position and body alignment. There's so much positive to be had with a snorkel. I think any swimmer, any competitive swimmer, or even learner swimmer should own one of these. The thing with snorkels is, if I'm being completely honest, they're all much of a likeness. There's not huge varying between different brands, different models, and when recommending a snorkel, I would say what's most convenient to you. I do personally prefer this model. I've not tried a huge range, but I did much prefer this to the standard Arena one, which I would not recommend. Standard Arena one pivots on this axis here, so what you can do is, while you're resting between sets, switch it up to here while not taking it off your head. But then what also happens is, every time you push off the wall, it wants to twist and it becomes really annoying and uncomfortable. For this, I think you can generally just put it on and take it off between sets if you're that fussed. But other than that, it fits very simply. It goes on the back of your head, and you breathe through it. It's a low profile, which I really like. It's quite a thin tube, so it adds a little bit of resistance. It does come with these like cardio caps that you put on here, and it sort of lowers the air intake, but they fall off very easily, and I have consequently lost them both. Not that I feel like I needed to use them. I don't really want to use this for resisting oxygen. I want to use this for working on drills. I do like that the mouthpiece comes off, which means you can clean it instead of it being attached to some models. It doesn't have a purge valve, but it's really easy to purge. And for fitment, you can tie and adjust, loosen and tighten the strap, and you can also slide this up and down and side to side. But when you're actually swimming, it doesn't move at all, which is great. Again, I got this really cheap in a store in Muscat, Oman. But again, it's not a hugely expensive piece of equipment, and I like the bold arena green design. And as I said, my favourite piece of training equipment, although to be completely honest with you, it's not because of this specific model, it's just because I love a training snorkel. Moving on to the last piece of equipment, and we have the Arena Powerfin Pro. And if the snorkel wasn't my favourite piece of training equipment, these fins right here would be. You can contrary to the snorkel, which is just a great training aid, these fins are so good because these fins are so good. Actually, all the way through my swimming career, I never particularly liked fins. I didn't go much faster with fins. I found they added resistance, so I had to work harder. Yeah, go figure. I didn't think the extra effort I put in while using fins, because of the resistance they cause, was worth the additional speed I got. That was until I got these fins. That's not to say they're easy to use, but boy, do they make you go fast. You can push a 50 or push 100, and you're guaranteed go quicker by a considerable margin than your personal best time when wearing these fins, and that's cool, that's fun. We like swimming fast in training, and of course the extra resistance is going to make your legs in the particular areas you use them stronger, which is then going to make you faster when you take them off. So it's win-win-win. I also like these fins as a butterfly swimmer. I found other fins in the past don't quite have the natural feel, and it adjusts my timing in a negative manner. When wearing these fins, I feel like I can keep my stroke rate, keep my leg kick up with my arms, and not have to do an extra glide or anything that's different to when I normally swim fly. I feel like I can get good distance per stroke with these, and a natural feel when swimming fly. Really like them for drills. I often use them in conjunction with the snorkel, or even some paddles, to work on drills. And basically, just in the same manner as I like wearing a snorkel, it stops me thinking about breathing. If I want to work on some catch drills, I put a snorkel on so I don't think about breathing. I put these fins on so I don't think about kicking, and I'm just isolating that one area of my stroke that I really want to focus on. As far as I'm aware, these fins are actually OEM'd from an Australian surf fin company called DMC or Hydrotech, and they are Arena's version of the Tech 2 fins. So Arena have collaborated with this Australian brand or bought the patents. They can stick their Arena logo on it and sell these fins worldwide. I have no problem with this because the Australian fins are more expensive. They're harder to get in the UK or in Oman or worldwide. And Arena, yeah, as I said, sell them cheaper. So I got mine in Oman for 6 Riyal, which is like 12 quid. Ridiculous deal. There is no other fin I would recommend in the market. Seriously, not a single other fin does as good a job as these in terms of drills, in terms of speed, in terms of natural feel. These are the only fins in the world I would recommend right now, or their Australian counterpart, the Hydrotech Tech 2 fin. It's the same thing, comes in different colours. Also, yeah, these come in quite cool colours. You can get this bright neon green I've got. They come in a pretty fluorescent pink. They come in a very simple black, and they've just released a very awesome looking gold pair, which I would love to get my hands on. All in all, I think we've got some cool products in the Arena arsenal. These mesh paddles are something a little different, and definitely I've found enjoyment in using them. These fins are the only fins you should own. If you already own them, great, let me know if you own them. If you don't own them, check if they do them in your size, grab a pair. And a snorkel, who likes using a snorkel? Do let me know. As I said, this is not the only snorkel I'd recommend. There's a lot of good snorkels out there, but I think you need to own a snorkel. There's so much you can do with one of these, and I personally love using them. And when I coach, again, we use them probably 2 to 3 times a week in some capacity. This will be my last video before I go off on holiday for the Christmas break. So I'll be back making videos in January. I've got the Mizuno GX Sonic 4 on pre-order. I can't wait for that suit. So subscribe, keep sharing the word. The channel's growing slowly but surely, which is good, and I'm loving the feedback. That's great, keep it coming. And have a great Christmas. All the best in the new year. Keep swimming and training fast, and I'll see you soon.